Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for my webinar. Now, I got to be honest. Um, at first, I was going to postpone it because it's so much of this story that it's hard to concisely talk about such a powerful show in such a short amount of time. And it's so many places to go that I felt honestly overwhelmed. Hey, Shasha. Mwah. So people still contacted me and they were like, I'm so excited to talk about it and to see it and, for what you have to share. So I went ahead against my little fear and went ahead and did it. But this is one of many classes that I'm going to do on it because I think that this TV series, along with other TV series, are so important, especially now with the different things that we are witnessing and growing through, as I like to say. I don't like to say that we're going through something, but that we're growing through so many things for our greater good. And I think that for people, especially people of color, ancestry and connecting with the power of our history and the power of our story is really the thing that we may be missing in terms of getting to the levels that we want to get to. A lot of us are in different faiths. A lot of us are in different spiritual systems. And I think that once we stop focusing on which way is the right way, but connecting with our ancestors to go in the way that our heart dictates, I think a lot of what we are concerned about in terms of our livelihood individually and our livelihood as a community, our livelihood as a world will change. Our ancestors spilled blood on this land. And we need to start honoring that by honoring them and learning about their history and what they have contributed to us because they are still alive. Hey, Ivy. Hawa. Thank you. Yes, please hit share, y'all. If you're excited to share this with other people, please share it with them. Amber, hey, cool beans, y'all. So this is what we need to understand, is that our ancestors are not dead. We are the ancestors. And I know that we hear that quite often, that you are your ancestors. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. We are our ancestors' hopes. That's true. But because we share the DNA of ancestors, they still yet live. They still have the opportunity to thrive and to be successful. They still have the opportunity to heal generational curses, i.e. generational traumas. They still have the ability to educate you. They still have the ability to run their own businesses, to experience freedom in a whole new way. And that's one of the goals that I have for this whole lineup of courses. This course in the series of classes that I'm going to offer, because I think it's important that we do that. And I want us to also feel comfortable in applying what we have learned from all our spiritual systems, no matter what they are, for our development. So so let me move along, because I'll get to preaching. So Lovecraft Country applying ancestral knowledge beyond coding, which I think is important because I've seen great videos online that have been phenomenal, and I wanted to really give them a shout out because these people have done great work with showing us the symbolisms, giving us the historical perspectives of Lovecraft Country. But one of the things that I didn't really see a lot of, and once I finish, you guys are more than welcome to share and comment as well, to join me or comment what you would like to learn more of as I build out these classes. Because one of the things that I didn't notice was the background story about what is Lovecraft and who the author was and who was the person that wrote the book of short stories that the HBO show was based upon. And again, as we continue to talk about ancestral knowledge and ancestral power, we need to get into the fundamentals of what we are examining, so this was about. So today we're going to discuss the background of Lovecraft Country as concept, the production and direction elements of the HBO adaptation, the historical elements that are key that are displayed in the series that will help us to unlock ancestral knowledge, that we have that is untapped. And of course, some practical takeaways. So, the genesis of Lovecraft Country. So, how many people knew that this was based upon a novel written by a white man? You can comment if you did or you didn't. Let me know if you know that this was first a book of short stories written by a Caucasian. If you can comment, because I think a lot of people don't even know that. And I think it may be uncomfortable for the idea that someone of yes, Hawa, I am at the beginning and at the end and the endless embodiment of my entire lineage. That is powerful. That is powerful. Okay, I learned that after watching the first episode, Ivy says. Okay, so Amber, yes and no. You are correct, Amber. But this guy that I'm showing right now, Matt Ruff, is not deemed as a racist. I don't know him personally. I Googled him and I did my research. So I would say, based upon the work that he's done, that he is not a racist. Okay? But the person that is a part of it, that is based upon, is definitely documented as one. So yes. So Matt Ruff published this book of short stories by the same name in 2016. And his first idea was to write a story about horror juxtaposed with racism, because he felt that that was an untapped aspect of horror genre, because that was a genre. He, as a writer, writes a lot of sci-fi, fantasy type novels, and he was actually inspired to write Lovecraft Country by another author named James W. Lowen, called Sundown Towns, that discuss the Negro Motorist Green Book. And shameless to say, I did not know about a Green Book until the movie the Green Book came out. So even though I had heard about sundown towns in passing, this was not a history that I learned from my family or they talked about. And I did not know there was such thing as a Green Book that guided Negroes, that guided Negroes, if you will, in their travels. Now, of course, based on historical knowledge, we understand why this was important, but I want us to start looking at, now let me ask before I go any further, did anyone know about the Green Book prior to the movie of the same name that came out a couple of years ago? That's my first question. You did? Okay. Now, did you learn about it from your family members, or did you learn about it through studies in school? Because I did not know. Okay, so your parents told you. That's good, because I had no knowledge of a Green Book that was for people to travel safely. My parents did not tell me about that. No judgment on them, but I want us to start understanding about the ancestral power and the ancestral knowledge that is untapped, because our DNA, so that's why, just to give you a little hint, why we may feel a certain way when we go through a certain area or we're in a certain place, even though our parents maybe didn't tell us about it. And I think that, and I'm going to get more into that, generationally, they don't want to pass on the pain of the ugly truths. But it's still being passed on because it's in our DNA. You understand what I'm saying? So we can try to shield our children from pain, but they're going to feel the remnants of it in the DNA. Okay? So I just wanted to share that really quick, because I won't go on. So now, this Matt Ruff was raised in a conservative home by Lutheran family of German descent. So as I'm researching him, I'm like, he's not the likely suspect to write such a book as this, because I thought, my first thought, to be honest, was when I first heard about the HBO series, I thought it was something that Jordan Peele wrote, because of course we know him from his movies Get Out and Us. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is some next level stuff that he's created. No. And then I started hearing about H.P. Lovecraft, which is who I'm going to talk about coming up. But the idea that someone that is of European descent got the download to write this novel, I think is very important, because it also talks about the untapped ancestral knowledge as well of other people to quote unquote right wrongs, or to examine what maybe their ancestors were the beneficiaries of or partook in. The book as well opened up each chapter with quotes from Safe Negro Travel Guide, the Chicago Real Estate Board, and eyewitness testimony from the Tulsa Race Riots of 1921, which I think is impactful, because the author gave voice to people that maybe had been hidden or silenced for whatever reasons. And again, we cannot always say that it's about systematic racism that hides things from us, which it does. But we also need to start taking a level of accountability to say that there are certain things that we don't talk about that we should talk about. Like the Tulsa race riots or race massacre of 1921. I had no knowledge of until I went to college. How many learned of the Tulsa massacre of 1921 from family member? Can someone type yes or type 1 if you have? Because I didn't. I had no knowledge of the Tulsa massacres prior to attending school or college. I had no idea about it. Yeah. And these are the things that we have to start being accountable as a part of our history and knowledge. And I'm not saying that